Hi there guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Matthew and I run this YouTube channel, Rustic Barn Candles, as well as my website rusticbarncandles.co.uk and the Facebook group Wax Melts and Candles Helpful Making Group UK. I've been asked quite a few times in private message about how to work out the costings per unit. So the cost of a single wax melt or the cost of a single candle. How to work out the cost per unit. It's a bit difficult to really tell anyone specifically how much their cost per unit is because it depends on the price you're buying your ingredients at and the volume. So the bigger the volume you buy of wax or oil, just those two products alone, then the cost just comes down. So if you're buying at a 50 ml bottle of fragrance oil, let's say, that cost per 50 ml comes down the greater the volume you buy. So basically it's the old saying, the more you buy the cheaper the cost is. So it's really difficult for me to tell you how much your cost per unit is, but I can go through the calculations on the board here to show you how to work it out for yourself. I'm going to use though ingredient volumes that are general, so in terms of what the average person sort of buys. I'm not going to use obviously my sort of costings because I buy in big bulk. So my costings will be a lot lower than your costings, or not necessarily your costings, but the average person's costings. So I'm going to go off buying 5 kilos of wax, which is sort of like an average amount to buy. And I'm going to go off a 100 ml bottle. Now not all the fragrance oils are the same. I'm going to get the costings from my website, so then they're real costings. I've got some calculations on the board here, so I'm just going to show you those now quickly. I'll zoom in a bit because we're a bit far out. I zoom in there so you can see that clearly. Right, so I'll talk you through this now. So it's not hard to do, in fact it's really easy, it's just having the understanding how to do it. Right, so I'm going to try and keep out a shot, otherwise the focus will focus on my face rather than on the numbers on the board. So I'm going to quickly talk you through some of the numbers and where I'm getting them from. So for example, I said we're buying the wax in 5 kilos, right? So on my website I sell that for £26.75. We're going to be making a batch of wax melts in a 1 kilo size, using 1 kilo of wax, that is. So we just divide the £26.75 by 5, which gives us £5.35. So the cost of 1 kilo of wax is £5.35. That's a good price. That's for the wax 4120, which is probably the best wax to use for wax melts. My opinion obviously, but that's the wax I use. I'm going to use a 100 ml bottle of fragrance oil. Now 100 ml, it's not big, it's quite small really, so the cost of 100 ml is going to be a little bit higher than buying, for example, half a litre or a litre. When you jump up to half a litre and a litre bottle, the cost really comes down a lot. But most people, like I say, buy 50 ml, 100 ml, or 50 grams, 100 grams. They're roughly the same. There is a slight difference in a 100 ml and 100 grams, but it's only going to be pennies. So I'm going to talk about them being equal. So one of my oils, the premium oil I'm going to use is Cinnamon Buns fragrance oil, 100 ml. That costs £10.75. And we're going to use that at a 10% ratio in 1 kilo of wax, which would be the full 100 ml. And then we're going to use a bag of dye, which I sell at £2.20. We're only going to use 1 gram of dye. That's all we need in a kilo, which is going to get that by dividing £2.20 divided by 10. It's divided by 10 because I sell my dye bags in 10 grams. So to get 1 gram, you divide the total cost by 10, which equals 22p. So our total cost, we're going to do the clamshells. So let's just call it the container. The containers are 12p. So let's put those up at 12p. Alright, so that's just for the plastic container that your wax melt goes in. So that's a 12p. So our total cost is £5.35 at £10.75 at 22p at 12p. So our total cost of all those ingredients is £16.44. So that's to make one batch using all these ingredients. Right, now this is where a lot of people go wrong, so please pay attention to this part here. This is where the majority of people get their cost of units wrong from the start. So we're using 1 kilo of wax, but we're also using 100 grams of oil. So our total weight is going to be 1 kilo and 100 grams, or 1,100 grams. Alright, so you need to include the oil weight you're putting in there, not just the wax, otherwise you're going to get the calculation wrong. Your wax melts are going to be more expensive than what they really are. Right, so let's assume we're making wax melts at 50 grams. How many wax melts do we get out of 1,100 grams? So you divide that 1,100 by 50 grams. That will tell us how many 50 gram wax melts we're going to get out of there. So if you make wax melts in the snap bars, that's roughly 50 grams. If you make it in these circular pots here, as long as you're filling right to the top, that's roughly 50 grams. Right, so that will give us a total of 22 wax melts is how many we'll get out of all these ingredients, being 1 kilo of wax and 100 ml of 100 ml of oil. So we know that using all these ingredients we're going to get 22 wax melts. Now how to work out the cost per unit, well now that's the easy part now, because it's 16.44 divided by 22, which equals, I'm going to double check that on the calculator, that equals 74p. We'll round up because it was a decimal place, so it would be 75p. 75p for a wax melt of 50 grams. Now that's just using a very small fragrance oil. If you was to buy the fragrance oil, let's just quickly run through the example of using a fragrance oil in just half a litre. So if you was to buy 500 ml of the same fragrance oil, I'll show you how much your cost per unit comes down. So that fragrance oil, cinnamon buns, at half a litre is £43. Now we're only using 100 ml from that, so we divide 43 by 5. So 43 divided by 5 is £8.60. So it's £8.60 for 100 ml now. So a minute ago we were just paying £10.75, but now we've bought 500 ml. It's now costing us £8.60. So what does that do to our cost per unit? It obviously brings it down, but what does it bring it down to? I'll quickly work that out now. So we just add up our totals again, but instead of using £10.75 we use £8.60. So that equals £14.29 now. £14.29. So now our new total cost is £14.29. Divide that by 22 wax melts is literally 10p cheaper. So it comes in now at 65p. So we've just reduced our cost by 65p per wax melt because we've increased our oil and we get it at a much better price. So now you can see how much the price has come down. So 10p, that's quite a big drop to be honest. If we was to buy it in a 1 litre size, that would probably fall by another 10p, maybe 15p. So we're getting down to 50p, 55p sort of level. So it really is important to buy in bigger volumes because it gets the unit cost down. I hope that does make sense to people. I've gone through it quite quickly, but I want to keep the video short. If you do have any questions about this video, put them in the comments below and I'll answer all your questions. Okay guys, I hope this makes sense. I have gone through it quite quickly. Watch the video a few times so you can get your head around some of the costings and how I work them out. This would be the exact same way as you go about working out your cost per unit, buying at these volumes of ingredients. So 5 kilos of wax, and then 100 ml bottle of fragrance oil, 500 ml bottle of fragrance oil, even a litre. So all the costings are here on the board. You can hopefully see that clearly, and then moderate it to your costings and the prices you're paying. So if you're just buying a 1 kilo bag of wax instead of 5, then you already know the price of your 1 kilo bag, because it will be the price you're paying for it. You don't need to divide by 5. But yeah, any questions you have related to this video, write them in the comments below, and I'll go ahead and do my best at answering those. All these ingredients you can get from my website, rusticbarncandles.co.uk. I've got some of the best fragrance oils around. It's taken me a good part of a year to develop those with the fragrance oil manufacturers. Gone through a lot of changes and moderations. I wanted to develop oils that really work well in candles. They work amazingly in wax melts, but they're also very superior in candles. So if you're getting into candles or wax melts and you want to make a premium product, this is the difference now. These are not your average oils, these are premium oils. They don't cost that much more. They might cost 50p or £1 more per bottle, but that's nothing when you break it down. And if you're buying at the 500 ml or the litre, they're exactly the same as all the other people, all the other suppliers, but you're buying now a premium fragrance oil. I'll do another video of why it's so important to try and stand out above your competition by using better ingredient products, because there are so many competitors out there all doing the same stuff, and it's all about getting your customers to buy again. Again, that will be for another video. I might combine that with a marketing video, because they sort of go well together. But yeah, your cost per unit, that's how you work it out there. Again, any questions, just ping them over to me. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.